Joining us now on the Window Nation guest hotline, the passionate voice of college basketball, ESPN's Dick Vitale. His book is out called The Lost Season, a look at what the journey to the 2020 National Championship could have been. Dick, good afternoon. It's nice to talk to you.
Well, same here, man. I just see the Orioles are playing really well right now, Steve. I talked to John Angelos the other day, and I can tell you this. They got to be pleased with some of the young people because they're really doing well. I hope and pray every day that Trey Mancini, who went to Notre Dame, and we're very lucky in my family. We have 7 degrees from Notre Dame, even though I was too dumb to go there. But the bottom line is I hope Trey comes back from his battle with cancer. He's a classy, super guy.
Yeah, speaking of cancer, your book helps benefit the V Foundation, something you're very passionate about, and it's a book that you were working on, I understand, and you weren't expecting to write a book about a lost basketball season, but you went ahead with it anyway. What was the project like?
It was really a lot of fun. First of all, I worked with a guy that's really well known in the basketball circles by all the coaches, Dick Hoops Weiss. Dick is a great guy. He's a Hall of Fame journalist. He's from out of New York, Philadelphia. It's where he made his fame, but nationally as well. So we sat down and talked about it. And, going through boring times right now with the, situation going on, quarantine yourself at home most of the day and sitting around a lot of time and think about it and said, hey, the lost season, man, and it was a lost season. And really sad in a way because there could have been a lot of good things happening for some programs that weren't what you would call the blue blood, the elite superstars that we hear year after year, like North Carolina would not have been in the tournament, and you think about teams like, out there, Duke, Kentucky, there were no locks. We had some great stories, though. I mean, you had a great story when you think about Dayton, think about San Diego State, you think about the rise. Preseason, there wasn't one person I ever saw that wrote that a kid like Garza or Toppin would be running to be national players of the year. So a lot of good stories. And Maryland was a good story. Maryland could have caused some damage in the tournament. I mean, they had the personnel. They could have done really, I think, some damage.
We've been seeing more mid-majors sneak into the Final Four. Not sneak in, deserve to be in because they're really good. I was thinking this year, Dick, they might have been 3, maybe 4 mid-majors. Like you count San Diego State, Dayton is another one, Gonzaga. I'm still considering them a mid-major. I mean, this could have been the wildest Final Four ever.
Yeah, it could have been wild, but don't you ever go down there to Gonzaga and call them mid-major, man. I made that mistake one time. Forget it. They're major all the way right now. Maybe the conferences, but the revenue and the crowds, the enthusiasm. In fact, they're going to be my preseason. We're really looking ahead to next year. My preseason next year, number 1, is going to be Gonzaga, followed by Villanova is going to be very good, and Baylor and Virginia. There's my top 4. I just gave you my top 4 preseason.
I love it.
Right there. But, it would have been great to have. But, let's face facts, though. There was no way you could have a tournament, what's going on in our nation. The health and the safety of the athletes is number 1. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in football now with the ACC and with the certainly with the SEC and the Big 12.
The Dick Vitale Gala is a virtual event September 4th. It benefits the V Foundation. You can get the book, The Lost Season, wherever books are sold. So speaking of next year, there's already talk by some people about trying to construct a basketball bubble for college. Do you care to go down that road? Do you have a Dick Vitale idea or plan on how to do this?
I did a sports chatter today. I do one every day. I just put it up about 15 minutes ago on Twitter/DickieV, and it's about that idea and that concept. It might not be a bad idea when you think about the championship, where you can house all those teams and, get them in a bubble. We already got a great pattern out there that we can follow in terms of the NBA and what happened with the WNBA. They've been very successful. But, I'm not an expert in those fields, Steve. And the bottom line is, I read quotes from media people, from coaches, and talking about whether they should have football and not have football. That's going to be in the hands of people that study infectious diseases, not me. I mean, we read about stories. I was talking to a guy who was the AD at one time at a school when they lost a youngster who he basically was a situation where he had he had COVID-19. He died of a heart ailment at the end, but he had COVID-19 first, and they didn't know, or they haven't determined yet whether or not the COVID-19 played the dilemma with the heart. Some people said it does. So I'm not all convinced that football is going to happen like people think. I think it's going to start, but boy, the first couple of problems when they put on the pads and they start to hit and they get right on top of one another, and if there comes any kind of a spreading of the disease in any shape or form, I think you'll hear the whistle be blown and it'll be stopped. So, again, I'm hoping and praying there's football. I'm hoping and praying that there's basketball. But again, reading what the people said, and I just read an article today from Dr. Fauci about the fact that doesn't like where this is heading, where this disease is heading in terms of the numbers and the way it's spread.
Yeah. You know, of all people, how devastating these young men and women have to be for losing their seasons. Of course, safety is number one, but do you ever worry about the mental health of young people when their world gets rocked and they lose everything that they've been working for suddenly?
Yeah, I just was talking to my grandsons, and they're twins, and they both have committed. I wanted to actually go to Notre Dame and continue our family tradition. They're both very highly rated tennis players, and I was just talking to them, and they said, wow, I wish it doesn't happen when we get there. I can imagine some of these buddies of mine are in college, and they can't play. And then you think about all those, we talk about the major revenue sports, but those kids that put so much time into lacrosse and into volleyball and all the other sports out there and losing their, chance to play, sweating and putting those hours to become Division I players or even Division II or III players as well. And then your heart breaks for that. But I simply say to them, and I really mean this, I do a lot of motivational speaking for the Washington Speakers Bureau right there out in your area. I've been there for 30 years with them, and I do a lot of that for corporate groups and school groups, etc. And I will tell any kid that tells me that that's their problem, they only hope and pray that's the biggest problem they have to deal with in their life. Because life is a situation where you got to handle problems. You got to be able to handle tough times. Life is not smooth. There are ups, there are downs, and there are situations that you can't control. And you got to move on in life in a very passionate kind of way. And that's, I'm trying to do that in my life. I lost my eyes as a kid. I thought it was the end of the world. You mentioned about my book, dollars going for kids battling cancer. Well, it is. All my dollars go not only for cancer research, but they concentrate on kids. I just recently talked to a dad. His son, ready for this, lives near me, 13 years old. Kid is a terrific hockey player. I mean, big time for his age. Bottom line is, he's in now. The dad called me heartbroken that his son, Weston, is now in his fourth battle with brain cancer, that it came back again, and the family's devastated. And the option was he could either do brain surgery, but that's very risky because they've already had 2 brain surgeries and they're afraid of paralysis. And the other option is 52 weeks of chemo, and they chose 52 weeks of chemo. Now, that's a tough time, man. That's tough. That destroys families, and that's why if people can help me, they can get my book. They can get my book at dickvitale.com. They can get an autographed copy, and I write anything they want me to write on here. Maryland, the Terps are the best, the Hoyas are the best, whatever they want. I will write it on there, and then we ship the book. I just shipped a bunch out that were previously ordered and are pre-ordered, but now the book's officially out, or they can get it at Amazon.com, but that's not autographed. They want it autographed, they go to dickvitale.com, and every dollar, that I would make is going to the V Foundation for kids battling cancer.
52 weeks of chemo. My goodness. Prayers for that family,
man,
for sure.
Be a dad and have to deal with that. But not only that, as he said to me, it's the fourth time. The fourth time. 3 times. You feel so good that the kid is now in remission. And they go for those quarterly scans. And they see when the scan came back, the doctor said, I got some bad news. It popped up again. I mean, it just tears your heart out. Tears your heart out.
Cruel.
I talked to a mother. In fact, we're going to be doing a grant on my gala. You mentioned September 4th virtually to a mom. Her name is Kara, and her husband. Bottom line is this. Their son, Will, he was coming to my gala. We had it live. He was coming as one of my more courageous kids. Well, on June 2nd, that ended because he lost his life in the battle of his bone cancer that came back to him. And the mom's only child, her only child, she told me on the phone, I got me in tears, to be honest. She said they couldn't even have a regular funeral because of the pandemic. They had it for just the immediate family. And then they took the body down. They processed right through the whole city and to by the Little League field where he played Little League baseball. Yeah, you see that. And we're going to give a $250,000 research grant in his name to battle the kind of cancer he lost his life. Mitch Albom, a famed superstar journalist. You know what, Mitch. He's written all kinds of great books. He lost his daughter, Chica. He lost Chica, too. He's got a book out about Chica and her battle to a disease, brain cancer, DIPG. I pray and hope that nobody has to deal with their child dealing with DIPG. Is you ready for this? I mean, I go on about this stuff, man. I've had galas raising money for kids, so I know this. DIPG, brain cancer, no in the world ever beaten that disease. And we're going to give lots of money in his name, his daughter's name, to battle that DIPG. I mean, it's sad with these people. So when I hear about an athlete missing a sport, it hurts. Sure, it hurts. But it's not what these kids have gone through.
Amen to that. Dick, you're doing great work on that front. Can I just ask before we're done, how do you like being more and more involved on social media? I feel like when I get to see a video pop up in your poolside and you're ranting about something like, oh, there's Dick in the pool. I like that. You having fun?
Yeah, I really do. You know, I love mingling with the people. I mean, let's face reality. That 90% are very good at social media. You got 10% that no matter what you do, they're going to find fault. They're going to call you names. You get to be my age. If you make a slip or so, right away, oh, you're senile. You're washed up. It's done. You should pack it in. It gives them a license to do that. And, I'll match my enthusiasm, energy with any 25-year-old. And, and they're not going to ever get me down from doing what I have to do. And because most people are so kind and so good. And we need more of that in the nation. I'm going to tell you, Steve, one of the biggest things that are lacking big time in our nation, the lack of love, man. Love for one another. All people loving one another. There's so much hate, and it just drives me nuts. I learned one thing as a child from a mom and dad who were uneducated. My parents were fifth grade at best, but they had a doctorate of love. And I was to hear every day at my table, basically, Richie, never was Dick, Richie, be good to people, and people will be good to you. And if we all did that, if we were all good to one another, hug one another, say thank you, I love you, I care about you, my God, we'd have a better nation.
Amen to that. Dick Vitale, the voice of college basketball. Thank you for your time today. Continued success. The book is called The Lost Season, a look at what the journey to the 2020 National Championship could have been. Go to dickvitale.com to get your autographed copy, and proceeds go to the very worthy V Foundation. Thank you, Dick.
I thank you so much, man. Thank you very much for having me on. And, hey, those Orioles are better take it easy on my Rays next time. They took it out on my Rays, man. And my Rays have been hot. Just swept the Red Sox. Won 3 out of 4 against the Yankees, the Pinstripes. But I like the way the Orioles are playing.
I love it. Thank you, Dick. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.